we want it to work there.
Welcome, everyone. Ivan telling me how to use StreamYard here as it started to work.
Yeah,
it's been a long day in the DIY Detail Garage. We love all of you. We are at Omaha, Nebraska together.
Yeah.
And so for a special edition of Nick at Night, it kind of brings out the best of both of us. A debate over whether you need an extractor for auto detailing.
Actually, in my case, whether you should even use an extractor for auto detail.
So the great debate begins, and we tease some special guests. Do we want to?
Let's bring them in right away.
We're bringing them in right away. All right.
So on Team Extractor.
Oh, he's got the boxing gloves. We have Christian from BioBombs in the upper left corner.
Yeah.
And Mark Sager from Sager Steam Clean. You've got a YouTube channel. Carpet cleaning is in your blood. You use hot water to clean carpets and home upholstery and commercial. And I know you're outside of the automotive world, so folks may not know you, but you've been on Nick at Night before, and I love talking about cleaning with you. So that's sort of why I thought of bringing both these gentlemen on, Ivan.
Excellent. So this whole debate started when I talked to Nick about we got a car in the shop here, and it smells, and Christian, you'll be able to relate here, it smells of an extractor. It just has that funk, as Christian would so aptly say, that it just has that smell that I've smelled way too many times. And when we had our shops, the last years we had our shop, we might have used an extractor on one or two cars. It was very rarely used. But dealerships sent us cars regularly to undo the damage that other detailers did to the cars by extracting.
And my argument would be that there's no better way to deep clean carpets or upholstery than hot water extraction. I remember at carpet cleaning technician school, like the big company, I don't know if it's Shaw or whatever, and Mark can chime in a second, but they recommend, to validate their warranty, you have to keep hot water extracting your carpet every certain amount of years. So if you use an air mover after you use hot water extraction, you dry it quickly, and the results are the best clean you'll ever get in your life.
No
Mark,
comment.
Let's start with you. Why do you feel extraction is a good thing?
Well, it says on the side of my van, Sager's Steam Clean. Well, that'll kind of give you an idea. My family's been doing this, the hot water extraction, steam cleaning forever. Like I was telling someone here earlier that my dad is supposedly known as one of the pioneers in the hot water extraction method. So I don't know if we blame him on this in this case too for y'all, but so back in those days, chemistry wasn't as good. The machines weren't quite as good. Actually, our machine was fairly decent, but big and heavy, and but there were still not great tools. And so up through all these years, we probably are still learning how to be better. The tools are improving. Chemistry is improving. And I also do have to say, I do both methods, but I mainly do hot water extraction is probably our biggest because of the type of cleaning we do. Now in the auto detailing, when I did it, it was all hot water extraction back then. There was really nothing for the low moisture cleaning. Today, we don't do as much of it just because, for us, we use truck mounted equipment. So it's very powerful. And we tell people if we're going to do car detailing with that, it's going to be expensive. It's like we're intentionally trying to kill a mosquito with a semi truck. So that's kind of our equipment. So with the smaller ones, you're going to have to be better at it. And, it's like a skill. Like if you were to hand me a buffer right now, and I've got this, my Ram, lifted Ram with a metallic black metal paint on it, and you hand me a buffer, I'm going to swirl the heck out of that thing and make it look terrible. So it's going to be kind of the same thing and I'd love to try to get some of the things out of it I have, but it's going to be in the skill set too. So at some point, if I were to take that on, I'm going to ruin some stuff and I'm going to have somebody fix it. Same thing's happening when you're cleaning carpets, cleaning upholstery. You possibly are going to damage some stuff as you're describing, and you're going to go find ways to fix it. So a lot of the things, no matter what we're cleaning, it's also what it looks like. So it's appearance too. So appearance is, you can get great appearance with both cleaning methods, in my opinion. And there's times, this week I'll be doing some low moisture cleaning too. Some of it is because I can't get hoses in. I can't get other machines in. I can't use a machine making big whirring noises. It's even difficult to pre-vacuum, which again, no matter method, you've got to pre-vacuum like crazy and vacuum and air chuck and whatever you need to do and thump on the carpets and bang that stuff out to get it, because it's ground in soils. And you know, the smelly, funky stuff, if you're up in northern Minnesota or these areas with all the snow, we're creating that funky smell every time we get in, and their boots falling off of the snow and stuff. So there's another thing. And then as you reactivate it, hot water extraction, possibly even some low moisture, the smell is going to come back, because there's a bacteria in there. So I'm still on the team, probably hot water extraction, steam cleaning a lot, but it's also because of the carpet cleaning I do. And I could get things clean with both methods. One method in some situations might take me longer, so I'm going to try to choose the method that will work best in the situation. So it's, I don't know if I'm helping at all here, Nick.
No, you are, Mark. I think, Christian, now let's hear your take on it.
Yes.
I was going to say, Mark,
background.
So I've been a mobile detailer for years. Started BioBomb 7.5 years ago. We've experienced tons of dealership work over the years. That smell that Ivan's talking about is pretty much the smells wet in here and musty, right? But the carpets may be dry. A lot of the times I've found over the years that when people do go to use extractors, a lot of the times they don't use the proper fans to dry out the interior the right way, which does actually wind up leading to what I consider to be a bigger issue, which is actually creating and leaving moisture, mold risks, things like that. Would it be fair to say, Mark, that you feel the machine, I mean, obviously you do a lot of commercial cleaning, right? So everything, carpets inside of a home are not technically the same as what you would find inside of a vehicle. It's safe to say, right? I mean, you have edges and curves and, whatever it might be. But I mean, even the thickness and the padding, I mean, everything is significantly different. I mean, I know new technologies with carpets inside homes, there's a moisture barrier that's kind of in between the padding, right? That
there can be, which
I would imagine.
Which I hate those, by the way.
Oh yeah. What's the reason behind that, if you don't mind me asking?
You get a spill, it doesn't go into the pad and stay more central. We're going to have a better luck with it. It spreads out now. So if you spill a gallon, that gallon is out 5 feet round.
Oh, you're saying on top, so it doesn't go into the pad, where you would prefer to maybe have some of that stain actually stay as opposed to being on the surface.
Yeah, it just goes large areas. Yeah, especially it's meant to be a pet pad for urine and stuff. And there's no matter what, you just need to let the pup out and you'll have a better luck.
I mean, I'm speaking with a guy who's got a new pup who's right now keeping his fingers crossed that she continues laying on the bed in the other room and stays there for the next hour and doesn't have one of those accidents we're talking about. So
I get it. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, so I agree. And especially like you guys are talking, you have curves and bumps way more than I have a flat surface carpet for the most part. And we clean probably 85% residential, but you only see a lot of commercial cleaning on my YouTube channel intentionally, because I don't want to be in, people's homes and videoing and stuff there at those places. But you do have a lot more going on that's difficult to maintain. And with small portables and edging tools and all that, you are going to leave.
And a portable is like a small extractor, Mark, for the uninitiated out there. Just so.
Right. Yeah. So what we see in our industry, like a Mighty would, in our industry, that's a big extractor. In yours, it's like, this little miniature thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Your machines, Mark, are like significantly stronger than what you're going to find from anybody who's pretty much in a mobile detail setup, except for if you had one of maybe the old Terminators or whatever they were, right? The big boxes.
Yep.
I mean, that's something that's going to take up half of your van inside your storage capacity if you're actually going to be lugging that thing around.
Yeah. It's just, we had smaller units, and I can clean with a smaller unit, but again, you're talking a skill set, because I've been doing it a long time. I've made mistakes on other people's stuff, had to learn how to correct it, even made mistakes on my own stuff. So there again, knowing what I know now with the years of experience, I can avoid those. That's not saying that it still can't happen to me, because it can. There are variables that'll still get me. You close the door and close up the windows and tell the client, it'd be really better if you kind of kept the windows cracked, or you could put it someplace to keep them open for the day or the night, and they don't.
Right.
So you're going to get blamed for that. And
that's a standard issue at the dealerships. I mean, even without using extractors, the guys drill brush and they leave the carpets too wet. They close the windows up, especially come time around the winter time here on the East Coast. Yeah. You'll see a layer of moisture build and freeze on the inside windshield almost regularly, because the shops just don't do a good enough job of drying out the interiors, which is one of my biggest debates when it comes to actually using extractors in general. Because for the guys I know who work in the mobile field, it's very tough to be able to get that carpet dry enough to be able to leave it and not create a potential problem in the future.
Yeah, mobile detailing.
Yeah, like Mark said, you can tell the customer to leave the car running for 2 hours with the heater on and the windows cracked. As soon as you drive out of the driveway, they're shutting it off, putting it in the garage, closing the windows, and the next morning it smells like crap and it's all wet in there. And then they take it outside the garage and it freezes up, and then they blame the detailer.
I mean, you would probably need, Mark, I think $600 worth of air movers, probably $150 a pop for those mini ones. And I spent it. And then you got to get all the extension cords, or you hook each one, daisy chain them up. But if you do all 4 seats in a car, maybe the back seat has 3, you kind of want to dry them all real quickly. Or maybe you get the front seat too wet, and then I have to put the backing down, and then I got 2 fans on just 1 seat. It gets to be a big ordeal, Ivan and Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, but I wonder if you could share. I mean, you pre-treat with your, first solution, and then you agitate, and then we use the hot water extraction method that supposedly neutralizes the pH so it doesn't oil and resoil and everything like that, get oily and brown. So that's the principle of hot water extraction. But is it really better?
Well, the first thing is we were just discussing, I think, before we got on here, is we've mentioned that you need to vacuum like crazy. And you got to get out every bit of dry soil you can. I mean, pounding on it and the air checking. I think I mentioned that. I'm not sure, but you've got to get out all the dry soil. And when you think you've got it, you got to hit it again. You got to be going to get that out, because
it's like when you go to clean a tire and it's brown. You got to clean it again because it's going to.
You got to clean it. Yeah, I mean, it's the same concept. Whatever, if it's not clean, as clean as you can get it before you introduce any other chemistry cleaning, low moisture, hot water extraction, needs to be done dry. So as a mobile detailer, that would be at least one thing you could really accomplish. And it's going to start looking really good just after getting dry soils out. Then from there, as we mentioned with hot water extraction, we'd apply a pre-spray. Level of pre-spray. Some can overdo it in certain cars and certain things. You maybe wouldn't apply it as heavy as I do on some of the nasty restaurant carpet cleaning videos you'll see on my channel, where you think I'm killing and flooding the floor and it's actually just floating on all the grease. You'll see a couple of the latest ones. It's that. They think anyway, it's just a crazy thing. Cars, same thing. You're going to go into pre-spray. It's going to get in the edges. It's going to pool down in those corners. You got to be careful on that. You get down to pre-spray. You agitate it. You use some type of brush. You use something to tamp and pack and anything to do to agitate the pre-spray to be suspending the soils. Now, there's the key thing, suspending the soils. So then now it's easier to extract the soils out. So some of it comes down to chemistry. You can't go uptown and one of the local stores and just buy what we'll call a degreaser and use that, because it's not built for carpets, not even in your cars. And you're creating your own problems, and it's going to brown out, and
it'll resoil faster as well, right?
Terrible. And plus it can contribute to the smell too a little bit, just the way they're built with butyls and solvents and all the stuff that's built for taking it off a car and the outsides and places, So once you've done that, then you don't have to be extracting as much, wetting as much, like over and over and over. You can do it like in 1 to 2 passes, a lot more. Dry passes. That's the other thing. Dry passes are not just a dry pass. It's another cleaning pass. It's getting the suspended soils and the other soils you're not hitting with, pressure going at it and blasting it everywhere. It's another cleaning pass, and it's drying and pulling it. Then the other thing I would do is, like I did at a commercial job last weekend, I used dual method. So I was hot water extracting, looking pretty good. The carpet had not been cleaned in 10 years. It's been down 10 years, and it's a police station, fire department, state patrol office. And so it's hammered. I mean, it's absolutely hammered. Plus the floor was probably poured by volunteers. So it's doing all this in places too, and you're fighting getting suction even with your equipment. So I did what was called dual method. So then I applied one of my oxy end caps over top of it and padded it, what we'll call pad OPing, and we're absorbing into the pad. So that's where you're helping. You're absorbing more soils. You're absorbing more of your pre-sprays and more moisture. If you could do that too, even with just a towel, or if you have a buffer, if you can carefully come in there and just start buffing and pulling things into that, it will extract it into your pads and your cloths. And microfiber is great on that because it just loves grabbing everything it can.
I think those are great points. I mean, the biggest thing for me, I guess, with the extractor, especially in mobile use, is like when you do those curved areas, rear seat, front corners, down by the side sills of the doors and things like that. I mean, I just feel like there's no good way, once you introduce water into that area, that you're gonna be able to use the tool that you have, even if you turn it sideways and you rock the edge. I mean, there's still that you know,
Mhm.
this is your angle. There's still that
You
curve.
could take the gun out, whatever the wand, and just have the hose, and that can kind of sometimes get right up there and suck
Yeah.
real well. But like I still under the carpet, Christian,
Mhm.
you deal with odors all the time. There's probably a lot of water pooling in there.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue we have with our products in general, when people go to buy one and use it, and they get less than satisfactory results, a lot of it has to do with they have an embedded odor, right? And I think like you have a rodent issue, you have a urine issue, you spilled some food, whatever it might be. Those particular scenarios are where guys typically would go to, say, using an extractor, where I'm kind of against that. Like I feel like at that point you're kind of doing a spreading more than you're doing an actual removal. And maybe you can shed some light on this for me, Mark, that maybe, you know, bust my, you know, my chops on this or whatnot. But I mean, how do you feel about that? Because I mean, I'm a big proponent. We
Mhm.
have a product called Minis. It's a very small chlorine dioxide tab. We drop that inside of our steamers. And a lot of the times when we're steaming in those areas where something may have spilled or you may have a
Mhm.
urine or a throw up or whatever it might be, after obviously dry extracting as best as you can with the vacuum and, you know, agitating with the drill brush, using your proper cleaning supplies or whatever, typically pushing some steam down into that area, you're going to use a lot less moisture.
Mhm.
And potentially the same thing with the microfiber head that you have on the end of the mop or the steamer attachment. It's going to do a great job of pulling some of that stuff up and locking it into the microfiber. But again, like you were saying, I think even with the bonnet cleaning, you have to change that head
Bingo.
multiple times, because if
Yes.
not, you're just going to pull up until that pad's saturated. And at that point, you're not getting anything else out of there, right?
Yeah, exactly true. You do need to, well, you know, when it gets saturated, and you're right, it's not going to bring in anymore, and now you're wasting your time over it, and you are spreading it at some points. I have had situations where I've had to clean up, you know, throw up and stuff, vomit in carpet in a place again. Couldn't get a portable in, couldn't get a hoses in, you know, for the truck mount, uh, and I
How'd
forgot
you
the
do
head.
it?
Well, I forgot the head to my little mini extractor, so I couldn't spot it. So I used my sear. Well, actually, I gloved up and I found a stick in the apartment. I pulled up the mass first, disposed of that in the bag, scraped up what I could, get everything off the top. The carpet kept a good portion of it on top. Then I did go over there with an oxy end cap of ours that I applied on it. And I used a CRB, counter rotating brush, is what we have in our industry, which Nick and I have been talking, and I really would like to find something in that could work for you in the industry as a little CRB in there. But
Yeah, a CRB.
yeah,
I had a Brush
Explain
Pro
that
branded one, but yeah, they're just
yeah,
phenomenal ways of agitating carpet. They were way
yeah,
overkill for cars. I showed one to Ivan
yep,
once,
yeah, it's
but
fun.
they're so amazing when you need
Yeah.
them, like in the rear of a big van or SUV when you have a large
Mhm.
swath of carpeting, and it will just agitate it all for you.
Yeah.
It was super overkill, but Ivan, I know you have a.
Yeah.
You've not been this silent since I've known you,
No.
and you always have something to say. So I just
Yeah.
hear his like thumbs going like
Yeah,
this. He's
no.
always like,
The desk
But
is
in our
shaking.
shops, you know, the counter rotating brush is a great thing, like you say, Mark. What we had was a air powered DA sander, so a 6-inch DA sander that's been in body shops for 50 years,
Sure.
and we put onto that a cyclo brush, and
Okay.
that would give you agitation and vibration. And to
Mm.
me, those are the two pillars. Well, three. You have aspiration, so vacuum, agitation, and the you know, the vibration. Once you have that, the dirt comes out. And before introducing moisture, you can get 95% of the carpet clean, and then you might have a stain here and there. But like you said, on the carpet you went into that you weren't properly equipped,
Yeah.
the carpet held it on its surface. And automotive
Mhm.
carpet is designed to do that. And as soon as someone introduces the extractor, that's where, like you mentioned, they're spreading it and they're just making it worse.
Yes.
If they could, you know, get as much up dry as possible. And I've been saying this to the industry for 30 years. Every drop of moisture you put in a car, you have to take out of the car.
Yes. It's like you mentioned, the biggest thing for every part of this is you got to get the dry soils out. And I like the fact you're vibrating, you're trying to push, you're trying to pull. And the counter rotating brush, by the way, is these two brushes on this machine that go into it'll just sit there on its own. But it's great for industry. It was not designed for hot water extraction. It was another method of end cap. Of course, everyone in our industry, like you, we're creative. And then we go, hey, this is kind of cool. Let's use it, start trying it. Then it started to spread. You know, there's some of us out there that are always trying something different because, you know, your mind's always clicking. Like you see something and you go, that would work. But you're right. Getting the vibration So one of the units I use as an OP machine does vibrate also, and you can take the vibration thing out of it. It's important to pop it up to get that coming out, so you can get it to that pad or get it to the vacuum.
Anything to help loosen, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea behind it.
But
I
you're
have a
so
que-
right.
I have a question. You know,
Mhm.
Ivan and Mark, I think both would probably have methods that would involve like a dual action polisher, a rotary polisher, and a pad, right? Like
Bonnet cleaning.
bonnet cleaning.
Yeah.
Can you guys find common ground on bonnet cleaning? I've seen auto detailers do this. Obviously, Ivan proposed it, but as a proponent of it. But I've seen carpet cleaners also use buffers on like stairs, Mark. I don't know what
Yeah,
your
on,
philosophy is.
on carpet, not really, but on upholstery, yes.
Mhm.
You know, for me, when you're doing a sofa, Mark, have you ever had a sofa that had occupancy sensors, airbags in them?
Well, I was
Heated.
still driving, but no, I get that exactly. I know what you're saying. There, it's different. You have so many other variables like I don't have in mind. I run into problems where they use what's called viscose to make these darn couches and things like that, which is viscose is cellulosic and it's essentially paper.
Yeah.
So you're trying to clean paper with hot water extraction, and I'm like, no, and you don't want to do that, but they don't tell you what the material is, and you kind of have to figure
Some
it out.
carpets and cars nowadays are damn near paper viscose as well. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Really?
some really,
Yeah.
there's some really bad carpets out
Yeah.
there in cars nowadays. Super paper thin.
They keep learning from the bad materials they're making in carpet industry now too, that we're running into. I mean, it's just going, goes all over. But you're right. You have certain problems, what we run into too, and certain problems in homes and the carpets and the upholstery we deal with. And people brown it out. Again, it's in the hands of the person doing the cleaning. You will make mistakes, and then you got to find ways to fix it. Some stuff's not fixable. There's places where hot water extraction would be important, like in that mom's, minivan that's loaded to the hilt and got spills and pop and everything, and just like crazy. And you're maybe going to have to do some hot water extraction, but you're going to have to vacuum. You're going to have to scrape things dry, whatever first. Don't introduce the water until the last part. And I think that's the important part, what's happening with hot water extraction. It's a great method, but it's also like carpet cleaners. Carpet cleaners don't pre-vacuum all the time, and they just go in and start putting down spray and cleaning it up. If you're not pre-vacuuming, you're creating the same problems like you do as a car detailer. Most of them probably aren't even vacuuming.
Well,
I wonder if most of the detailers who are using extractors are maybe just like Mark is saying, suggesting probably not using them super well.
Exactly.
Think about the technique out there.
They're overusing, and like
how
Mark
many
said,
times do you see 5 or 6 passes just letting fluid out every single time in the same spot on a seat, right? I mean, it's like, how much can you possibly soak the foam on one seat?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are other things as well. Like in BMWs, they have the throttle position sensor or the pedal sensor right on the pedal, and in Quebec, and I think you're up in Wisconsin, Mark, and same
Minnesota,
thing with
but
Minnesota, close enough. You guys get winter.
Yes.
In the winter, some of those cars would just be dead in the water because people wouldn't knock the snow off their boots. It would eventually melt, and it would just kill that pedal. And detailers have done the same thing with extraction. And that is the problem. Like we say, before going in with an extractor, start doing it dry. I had an employee that was hell-bent that the removable mats in a car should be first pressure washed, then after that extracted. It took him at least 20 minutes to do a mat. And
Amen.
I'm the one paying a salary, so I didn't want him to do that. So I showed him, look, this is how I do a mat. I put it on the wall. I had the little brush on the sander, and would just go over the mat, and it would look perfect. And then he said, "Oh yeah, but you're leaving a lot of dirt in." I said, "Okay, great. We'll split a mat half and half." We taped it up. He did his half with the pressure washer and the extractor, and then we let it dry, which took a day or two. Once it was dry.
Seriously, those do take a long time. You try to get those done the same day at detail, and try to dry them in the sun. They still don't dry. You pressure wash mats. That's a lot of moisture.
Right. Then I just dry brushed my side. Once everything was done, I said, "Perfect. Now take your pressure washer once again. Pressure wash my side. Pressure wash your side." More gunk came out of his side than mine because he introduced more moisture into that mat than the extractor could remove, first of all. Secondly, As soon as you introduce moisture, you're creating mud. Mud is
Yes.
a lot harder to remove than dust.
And I can imagine most people don't take the dry particulate far enough before they extract.
Right.
And
Yeah.
especially people who don't have a lot of time.
No, and if you take it far enough, you look at it and go, I don't need to extract. And another thing, and Mark and
That is actually a good point.
yeah,
I would just extract to do it sometimes, but
yeah. But Mark and Christian can expand on this as well. But there are times where you really don't need extraction. It's not doing a good thing for you. And by dry cleaning first, you're getting 95% of it. And then I have the detailer that says, yes, but I want to get down to the bottom of the carpet. Your customer has never seen the bottom of their carpet. They're not going to open up the carpet with tweezers or cut a strand of carpet off to look at the bottom of it. Once you have the top looking good, you don't need to go further than that. And by going further than that, you're creating mud and you're actually creating odors and all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, I think you need to choose a method according to a vehicle. Really, you do. I mean, I would totally agree with that, with the sensors, the throttle sensors and all that. No, I would not hot water extract. If you're worried about it in seats and stuff, and you don't need to, if you don't have tons of terrible staining and spills and craziness in it, well, even with low moisture, I can do really great with it too. I mean, I can because I've done it. I would choose the method.
You can, because how many times have you cleaned a stain, Mark? Like,
Yeah,
how many stains have you
exactly.
cleaned in your career? No, seriously, if you had to guess, how many stains have you cleaned as a carpet cleaner?
Millions.
Just on Friday, I could tell you I cleaned out 50 slime stains out of a carpet in an apartment. And what I was trying to
And
do,
your dad
experiment
invented
the product.
steam cleaning, so
Yeah.
you've done this a lot. So
Yeah,
you're going to
right.
be able to do a lot with low moisture. Even that Hawk Pro video I did recently, where I was
Yeah.
using the Bonnet method with another end cap, I took it really far, and I was like, I think maybe I'm just a better cleaner now. I had more patience. I didn't go to hot water extraction first. Like, maybe that took years of practice. I don't know. Like, I don't know how that happened. I never had taken end cap without an extractor that far before, and I was like, it blew my mind as to be like, maybe I was just grabbing the extractor, Mark, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
I mean, we were doing, when COVID hit and we were running our crews, we were still trying to make sure we could work, right? And they shut down the dealerships, and we wanted to make sure we were essential as well, because we were prepping the vehicles through recon or whatever it might be. And I mean, we were doing cars that like the detail shop never even touched. Typically, we were post detail. We clean up kind of what detail didn't get a chance to do as thoroughly as they could over short of, because of time constraints, just bad people, whatever it might be. I mean, we were doing cars that were so dirty you would not even believe that someone would ever even be able to look at it and consider buying it, because it wasn't prepped and ready yet. But because the shortage of cars at that time or whatever, I mean, they were putting cars on the lot that weren't even detailed yet. And I mean, us trying to grab as much work as we could during that time, because we didn't know what was going to happen, we were cleaning cars that were absolutely filthy. Not one time would we ever considered busting out an extractor. Did it take us an additional 20, 30 minutes running tornadors, slamming the carpet with, massage guns and things like that to pop out the sand and things like that? Yeah. But I mean, once you're in a vehicle that long and you're using the proper vac methods and cleaning methods to pull out as much dry dirt as possible, you could sit back and look at that carpet, and it's a night and day difference. Night and day.
What's
With
your
no
favorite vacuum and blowout tool combo, Christian? If you really do this in a production setting, like, what works well quick to get the dry soil out? Because everybody wants to do a better job and do it faster.
I mean, the tornador is an amazing tool. I think it's one of the best tools that the detailing game has came out with in the past. How long has that been around, Ivan? You know more than I do. Close to 2 decades now, probably.
Yeah, 25 years anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one of our favorites. I mean, the massage gun trick's kind of cool, especially if you're dealing with like cars in New Jersey. They have a lot of sand from the short trips and stuff like that or whatever. I mean, just smacking that vibration on that carpet and popping that sand up to the top of the surface and vacuuming is a really killer trick. But I mean, the drill brush method to me, like Ivan said, I mean, you get the surface clean, no one's looking past that. I mean, it's really what it comes down to for me, right? I mean, I think that dry dirt does have an odor to it, but I think that mud smells like dirty, wet dirt smells a lot more than dry dirt does. And I think that's kind of my argument in general, right? Is that like the spreading of dirt that's now mud, that's now kind of formed a little bit more strength because you bonded it with water and now it's stuck to the pad of the carpet. Or, even for me, it's like, say you spill coffee on a seat of a car or something like that, a cloth seat. Like, the coffee only goes down so far into the foam, and then eventually it dries. like in the padding of the seat. Like, well, if you're going to saturate that thing, you're going to take that stain that was sitting right at the top of the surface, and by the time you're done throwing all that extra moisture in there, you've spread it and dropped it down probably 2 more inches into the seat. You can't possibly pull that out unless you're using a machine like Mark has, which most guys don't have that, right? I mean, we
wouldn't
run
get it out
Metro
yet
vacs.
either. Yeah.
What was that? Yeah.
We wouldn't get it out. When you're into upholstery and cushions, like we tell people, we're cleaning the top surface. We're not going that deep into there. You know, so there is a problem with upholstery and stuff, which you guys deal with. We're dealing with carpet. Yeah, I can get in the pad. It's palatable. You know, the upholstery is up close and personal little things sometimes, and there's certain things we're wanting to be a little more careful with that you either extract, or well, you either clean or you don't clean. That's what I should say, because you know, some things should be replaced.
Are you a fan of foam cleaners for like not breaking beyond the surface, Mark? Like
well, yeah, actually, there's materials that we have to clean with, and we'll foam. So actually, I was working on a product that another detailer might have actually wanted to take on too. And so it was a base off of my upholstery cleaner, but I also had an inversion to make it to a foam. So you can whip it in a foam, you can apply it on the top, you know, agitate as neat or whatever, let it sit, do its thing, and then dry vacuum it off. There are places for that in our industry too. It's important, certain fine fabrics. So on coffee spills, as you guys I've maybe mentioned too with you before, Nick, coffee spills are generally taken care of with just peroxide. I mean, 3%, we use 9.9% peroxides. You know, there's coffee stain removers and peroxide base. You can spray on these. Don't do that on cotton, linen, fine fabrics, but you can get by with that on the polys and stuff. You just have to watch out every now and then, though. If the person is using everything from under the sink and other things, you might run into
if they've used something else first, yeah, your peroxide could react to that. But you just say you wouldn't need to extract for a coffee stain unless there was an odor, or actually odor is Christian's world. So maybe
we'd use our oxy end cap on that sometimes too. I mean, it's simple. Spray it on, because that ends up being a 1%.
Spray it on, agitate, wipe.
Yep, spray it on, agitate, and then the peroxide. It's not going to take the stain out maybe with that low volume peroxide right away. It needs time to oxidize the stain out slowly. So you're talking in a half a day it might take to take it out. But I've seen it come out of certain materials super fast. And then it, like you're talking with an end cap solution, encapsulation, what it is, it's like it turns this polymer into like a crystal to help vacuum out. I always tell people it helps to round off the jagged edges of the soils for easier extraction than of any remaining soils that are behind there. Because even with hot water extraction and all the vacuuming and everything I do, I'm not getting 100%. You'll still keep vacuuming, keep working. You'll never get 100% of these soils out. And it's kind of funny, even when you have a brand new carpet installed, there's still soils in that carpet, even on a brand new install. So, I mean, it's just,
now, Mark,
yeah,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In the, carpet cleaning world, you guys have a product, I know the brand name, and you might have very different ones, Host, which is basically like sawdust with a chemical in it.
Yep.
Do you see a use for that in the automotive world?
You could in some cases. The hardest part about those kind of products is getting it to vacuum out when it wants to cling on to materials, like the certain ways carpets are designed in cars and stuff, more of a polyester, and the hooks and it'll just can get grabbed in there.
Yeah, because I tried a Brush Pro dry solution when I got my Brush Pro, because it was $2,000, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take the dry end cap sawdust thing. And I tried it on cars. I did like 1 or 2 cars. I'm like, I'll never do this again. It was really hard to vacuum out. So I'm just echoing what you said. Yeah,
I have it. I have two different versions that we actually make. I have 2 different versions in my shop here, and I would use it on like a sisal type of rug, which is made out of seaweed.
Yeah,
you can put that down. You can't get it wet. Something like that. And again, we would tell them it's only going to be certain guarantees on it. And then there's even difficulty getting that product out, as you talk about, and vacuuming it out. Depends on the quality of your vacuum, the beater bar. And did you change the filter? I mean, there's so many variables that can hamper how good your cleaning is. And that is, did you take care of the equipment? How is your chemistry? Have you taken care of your chemistry? Have you read the instructions on the label? And do you use a measuring cup or the measuring tools? Because glug, 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 oh, it's good. And then next time you go and you go glug, 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 but he didn't get as much glug, glug that time, and it didn't work as good. And dang it, this chemistry is really terrible now this week. And, you got to follow the instructions. I deal with that all the time. People calling up. I had somebody call me a week ago. Yeah, I added 2 more scoops in it. And wow, was that better? Well, you got to the ratio we recommend to begin with. So
Oh,
that's
really?
awesome. Yeah, I ain't kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
You didn't read the directions, but you finally made it to the destination.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, right on. You've been using it
Hey.
5 years. You finally got it. You really found it works great now.
We
You know,
got
that'll
55.
happen.
We got 55 people watching this live stream. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I've just been looking at my computer where I can see all the comments coming through, and we
Yeah.
appreciate everybody. Jorge and Paul and Umberto and what's up, Sam? I know I want to just shout out everybody who's watching us live.
Yeah.
And you know, a real quick plug: save yourself 10% of the House of Rags with promo code Nick at Night. Back to your regular scheduled programming. Where did I leave off, Ivan? That's one word, by the way. Nick at Night.
Yeah, Nick at Night.
TheHouseofRags.com.
Yeah. No, from your perspective, Christian, you deal a lot with odors, and people who don't know Christian's business model, he goes in and fixes what other detailers screwed up. That's pretty much your business model, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been rather successful for us as well.
Yeah. So that being said, I did the same thing. We had dealerships send us cars that had been detailed just to get that smell out, or they forgot to extract, or they over extracted, or what have you. We had one car that was in here because we batch film when we're here in Omaha. We had a car that they had extracted the floor mats and left the nice lines in it like some detailers want to do, and they were crunchy. Like the lines, you'd have to agitate the carpet for days to get those lines
out.
Yeah. So, they left way too much chemical in there, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're going to be extracting, learn how to do it properly.
I love that.
Yeah. And a lot of detailers, once again, Extractor, they're excited. I've got this tool. I'm going to use it everywhere.
Well, it looks great for social media, right? I mean, that's a big
Yeah.
thing nowadays is you really want to sell your image. And when you're taking that dirty bucket and you're pouring all that nasty, grimy water on the ground or whatever, people are like, wow, that's crazy. That came out of my carpet. But, you think about it, you're in the driver's side seat, you're getting in with your dirty shoes all the time. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of dry dirt there. And once you add water, it's going to look exactly like it does when you pour it out.
Yeah. No, the other thing is, for me, seats are something we never extracted in our shop. And the reason I say that is I did an experiment I do a lot of R&D, Mark. So, but one of the things we did was we took a seat from a scrapyard, extracted one half of the seat, and bonnet cleaned the other half. Let it dry, and then rip the upholstery off the foam. The dry bonnet, or the bonnet cleaning or the dry method, the foam was perfectly clean. The other half, the foam was dirty. So all we did with the extraction, as soon as we put moisture there, the foam wants to pull the moisture down. So it pulled it into the foam. And now if we're trying to get an odor out or something like that, it's going to be a lot more difficult. And that is going to, as soon as the upholstery gets wet, it's going to wick that back up. And that's a problem that a lot of detailers have, is wicking. They will extract, they'll make it look great. And then as soon as it's dry, it's like, I have to start over again.
Well, one trick Mark and I talked about yesterday to just kind of prep for our part of the debate here, as a good debate team would, is you could do hot water extraction, and then while it's still wet, do a couple sprays of maybe some end cap solution on your rag and just weave that into the upholstery. So not spraying willy-nilly, but just getting a little end cap, which is actually anti-wicking.
Yeah.
So I've never tried that before, Mark, but that kind of sounded like one way to get around it, potentially, as a variable to what Ivan said.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to wet the foam, right? I mean, if you can minimize the amount you wet the foam, you're going to have a less of a chance to be able to have that stain rise back through into the fabric once it dries.
That's one of the things in our part of the industry too. When we're cleaning upholstery, and now tools have changed too, where you have low moisture cleaning tools. But you're right. If you're over pre-spraying the upholstery, you're going to create that kind of situation. You need to keep it so the pre-spray stays more on the top, and that again is more is better attitude, and it's not. On upholstery, it's totally opposite. Carpet still a little more forgiving, but you can still do the same problem. If you over wet it, get down to the padding, get it down to the foam. That's where your hot water extraction is going to cause problems. So you got to make sure that you don't over wet, and you also got to make sure your pre-spray doesn't dry. So you can only do so much at a time. If you let it dry, it's not going to work when you go to start hot water extracting. Yes, there is dwell time a little bit, but you'd be better off to apply it, agitate it, even by hand and hand mitt, then extract. And then you can even towel off. Get some dry towels, even towel off if you don't have the buffing. Just start toweling and drying it. But if they're wetting the foam, absolutely totally dangerous. And it happens, your industry happens in my industry. We see it all the time. That's not a, it's not a good thing. Yeah.
No, in our industry in the early 2000s, we had a fabric called sport fabric.
Yes.
Ford Escapes
Oh,
were,
Ford
you know,
F-150s.
yeah, Hondas,
Dude,
etc.
you could drop a drop of water on it and it would leave
Yeah.
a white stain on the seat. Dude.
Wick.
It
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, and that is when I really started getting into, wool pad on a rotary to clean those seats, and it worked every time.
You
Now,
gotta,
one
hit the,
thing
you gotta
that-
hit the whole thing.
Yeah. Now, yeah, we just made it equal. But at the same time, Christian, you mentioned something a little earlier, and we, went past it, and that is upholstery foam, and that is
Mhm.
something that in the detailing industry, people look really down upon that. That's something that the dealership guy uses, and that's cheap, and it doesn't work, and it's actually a very good tool because it just doesn't even get it wet. A lot of that
I
foam
know.
is very, very dry.
Yep.
And it just gets on the upholstery. We take it off with the bonnet method. I like to use a rotary and a wool pad, or you can use a microfiber pad, but whatever. To get that, you get it on the foam, agitate it just a little bit, and get it right back off. And 10 minutes later, that seat is dry.
I know. We use foam all the time at the dealerships for like sun visors, the makeup smooshes from people, and when the girls are doing their makeup while they're driving,
Yeah.
and have paid cheaper insurance than we do. Sorry, ladies, that's not a shot. I'm just upset about that or whatever. But
Yeah.
soda that explodes inside the car, something like that, or whatever. I mean, literally, you just spray a bunch of foam. You could put it directly on your microfiber, have it almost look like a big thing of like shaving lather, and literally just lightly. Just start to wipe it on that headliner and literally give it 30 seconds, get a nice clean microfiber, follow up, and that surface is almost dry 5 minutes later, and the stains are gone.
I would
Is
highly
there
recommend.
anything
Just
like
on the
that?
surface.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that in your world, Mark?
Yes. Well, I would highly recommend only like the end cap cleaning a ceiling and roof, and like you're describing there, because of the glues and stuff that are on there, you're just going to loosen the glues and the headliner is going to fall down. And
They're
Yeah.
different. The headliners
Yeah.
are different than they used to be, but yes,
Yeah.
older cars for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
I think headliners are a lot tougher than they used to be. But Mark,
So-
do you have any products you can recommend that to the detailing community that maybe cross over from what we may not be using regularly to something that you may say, hey, listen, this is actually a pretty cool foam cleaner?
Yeah, our end cap products are pretty good. I would probably recommend for most of what you're going to run into our Oxy end cap. I wasn't too creative when I named it, but it's Sager's 2X double strength Oxy end cap. People are thinking double strength is better and all this, so I throw out all the words and the keywords. But
Well,
That's
Ivan
got-
just named our new towel the quad fold perforated synthetic decontamination towel. So, great minds have things
Yeah.
they like with the long names.
It's
Go for the
exactly what
SEO.
it is.
yes,
It's a dope towel, though, and
Yeah.
it's perfect description.
it doesn't. You can make it into a foam if you need it. But here's one of the tricks. Actually, is you mentioned that, like in our industry, one of the tricks for fine fabrics is if you got this stain or a certain wool, you need just a small amount of peroxide. You can get by with it. We take one of those pump up sprayers, foaming ones for your hand dispenser foam soap. It's
Just a
empty.
soap dispenser. Okay.
Yeah, you take that out and make sure it's a foaming one. Put 3% brown bottled peroxide you get from Uptown, hydrogen peroxide. Take and put that in there. Put just a little bit of your cleaner surfactant. Just put a tiny bit of that in there with and now it'll make a foaming hydrogen peroxide. So you can take that and apply that on that coffee stain on that seat that you might be worried about something in the seat, electronic and stuff. So it sits on the top and it works slowly. Doesn't penetrate down in the foam, create other issues, but you can do that. We'll do that on certain cottons, linens, but you just make up this little foamy thing and it'll sit there. The hydrogen peroxide sits there and works slowly without penetrating it going down. It'll sit on top of it and keep going. So yes, foaming would be a great idea, to be honest. You could do the same. You could actually foam our Oxy end cap, I believe, too.
Would you just put it? For a chemical like that you recommend? Would you put it at this regular dilution?
Yeah.
In a foaming cap with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide for coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, coffee, honestly, you could spray on the hydrogen peroxide straight, but if there's certain things you're worried about in the seed or penetration, just, mix up a little hydrogen peroxide, foaming hydrogen peroxide. But yes, hydrogen peroxide will mist on coffee and tea stains and walk away. Just let it keep working is what you have to do. Keep in mind, and then you think you got to extract it. No, you leave it. It goes to a water state. So you apply the peroxide, let it do its work. Don't touch it anymore after you've sprayed it on it. So.
Hey, detailers run into coffee sometimes. They don't know what to do.
Oh,
That's a
ton.
good point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ivan wasn't being impolite. He was just trying to check the live chat to see the
Yeah.
comments in there.
Yeah.
I guess there was a good question from someone about a technique that I just saw, but I forgot what the person
Okay.
Let me grab this. Yeah. So it was from Arcus 201. How about using a sprayer to spray the chemical and then shop vac it?
That you could do as a foaming cleaner. That's what we sometimes will do on a if you're doing a foaming cleaner on it, and we'll just dry vacuum it off like that. You know, of course, make sure the bag is out of the shop vac. You know, make it a wet vet. But yeah, you can do that. Yeah, there's ways of making those things happen for sure.
I like the idea of creating the foaming hydrogen peroxide solution. Because I mean, hydrogen peroxide is a relatively cheap product to buy, especially if you're getting it in bulk. And if you're a detailer, it kind of makes sense to have in your arsenal anyway.
Got to keep the cap on it and kind of keep it cool if you can. Keep it out of the sunlight, you know, the van, because it'll start to expand and you'll start losing some of its quality over time. That's I run around the house here, and whenever we have it, and the kids and the family, you know, have it uncapped and anything. Well, that's a nice bottle of water you got now. So
Yeah.
So
But no, I mean, a
Ivan,
little foaming pump, I think, is a great way to
yeah.
Ivan is the king of simplicity, and he wants detailers to stop overthinking it and be profitable. Ivan, what are your thoughts as you hear all this?
You know, like I said, get it to the point where it looks clean. And like Christian said, the same thing. We don't need to go to clean the pad under the carpet. You're never going to do that. All you're going to do is create problems. You know, that is one thing. And Mark, you might be able to key in on this. Same thing with Christian. Is there is a point where once you have a stain and you've worked on that stain for 10, 15 minutes and it's still there, it's there.
Yep.
You're not getting it out.
You know, my answer, after everybody in the chat who knows me knows my answer. Psh, 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 black spray paint.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I can tell you my first experience when they painted the carpet once, and all of a sudden I started hot water extracting, and I'm like, it was blue carpet, and all of a sudden it's brown.
Yep.
Painted it.
Yeah.
I still remember that. I was like 18 years old. Yeah. But
we've been doing that for years, man.
So again, certain stains though, we go to a peroxide, just put the peroxide on it and let it dry. But it depends what it is. Now, red stains can be more of the challenge where if the client monkeys with it a whole bunch, we have less of a chance getting it out. Where they don't mess with it, we can get it out. But you know,
expand on that if you don't mind. Red stains are usually a bitch for everybody. Pardon my language, guys. This isn't the Funkin' Homies. I should have checked that one. My bad.
So there's red stain removers out there. There's a couple different ways of doing it, and some of the red stain remover I have is you apply it and you hit it with steam. You can just hit it with steam, and then the steam will.
Iron's a good trick too, right? Iron and some white t-shirt strips.
Yeah, and we got to make sure they're wet, but I prefer a steamer. One of the ones that we use the most in my industry is not made anymore for wallpaper steamer. It's the Black & Decker Steamworks. That's it. They don't make it because you had to hold it up. It's the whole thing heavy. Now they make that tube coming up, which is not as good. It's not as fast. But a steamer is more forgiving because you can even hit it with just a regular steamer, guys, too, that have it. You don't need to get the iron, but the iron can, if you leave it unattended, of course, can melt the carpet and stuff. And that's one of the things, but we'll use a steamer that you can leave it unattended and do it. But yeah, red. So some of the testing I've also done though, you can apply the red remover on it, just leave it and just watch it. It can go away on its own. Also, it just needs time.
Interesting.
Yeah. But red stain is more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. I struggled with red stains. I just wanted to, because we're introducing a lot of info here. Yeah. Ivan, I want your take on this from Ricardo Reyes. I use rinseless wash and a small pump foamer for the interior. Can I just add hydrogen peroxide for upholstery? I don't think Ivan's ever going to recommend mixing the chemistry of our product. So I just wanted to let you officially acknowledge this question here.
I wouldn't try it in an enclosed space. And you know, if you want to try it, go to the junkyard, get a carpet there, you know, a floor mat, go outside, give it a try that way. But no, they're two competing chemistries. I don't think you're going to get a lot of success there.
Notice, you know, Mark introduced us to a strategy that would work for his product with hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah.
Right. It's not. So we're not just encouraging everybody to go out willy nilly and be a cowboy.
Yeah.
Well,
but
and the other part of it is for foaming peroxide, you're only talking like putting a little drop of a surfactant into the peroxide. So whatever, you might be using as your upholstery cleaner, you
Yeah.
just put a drop in with that foaming thing there. It's just enough to make a little surfactant so you foam it. But
Right.
yeah, no, be careful with what you mix.
Yeah.
All right, and because I'm a company man, Jorge is asking, Ivan, tell me what miracles we can do with DIY detail products like Rinseless and some towels instead of an extractor.
So Rinseless is an encapsulator. That's how it works. And it works amazingly well on an interior. Again, the less you use. So a rinseless dampened towel, not a rinseless wet towel. You rub it over the upholstery. You rub it again with a clean towel. You'd be amazed what you'll get out of that surface. Same thing with a carpet. Dry, vacuum, agitate, vibrate, get all that done as much as you can. And then if there's still something left, just a damp towel, go over it. A microfiber absorbs. A microfiber wants to do that. And if you're doing it with a almost dry microfiber, just a little bit of product, you're going to get a lot more out than if you're getting it all soaked or using a wet microfiber. That microfiber wants to absorb. If you leave it the capacity to absorb, in other words, it's not wet, just damp, it will absorb.
As long as you're taking care, as long as you're taking care of your microfiber towels properly.
Yeah, and you buy them from the House of Rags.
Because if you don't, I
.com.
mean, they just won't pick up like they used to. Period. And next thing you
No.
know, you're just kind of rubbing, and you're not getting anything up on your microfiber. You're like, this
Yeah.
isn't working. Like, nah, take care of your towels the right way.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, as we're getting toward the end here, I want to keep it under an hour, but today we did a headlight restoration video in the
Right.
shop. And I probably did, 50 headlight restorations in my day. But I realize now, like, just because I did detailing for 5-6 years professionally and had a shop, and then I was mobile as well, and I didn't know all the stuff Ivan taught me. And I'm thinking of when I was doing hot water extraction in cars, there's probably a lot of times where I was overusing product, getting it way too wet, doing it because I just wanted to or was regimented in that thought. And I'm like, man, I just encourage everybody out there to, like, have fun, encourage you to up your technique and just get lots of reps in, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you just learn how to be better at cleaning.
Learn how to be better and learn how to use less. If there's anything I hammer on everyone is always use less products, use less time. And as you get proficient, as you get better, it will take you less time to do the job and you'll use less products. And realizing that your technique and being able to analyze the surface. We have a car that just pulled into the shop before we started this. I look at it within 5 seconds, I know it's a repaint. Nick is looking at it. All he sees is the scratches on the surface.
I just saw the spider web, the scratches, and he's telling me, like, paint nib, look at these dots here, look at the orange peel underneath the scratches, look at the sanding marks under the scratches, which
Yeah.
look like the scratches.
Yeah.
And he identifies it like this, and that's just from experience.
Right. And experience is your best teacher. The headlights we did, like Nick mentioned, it took us, 3 hours to do 2 headlights?
It was crazy. It was insane. I had no
No,
idea.
4
It was
hours.
about a 4-hour
Yeah.
ordeal for 2 headlights on an old Kia with 130,000
Yeah.
miles. Like, it
Yo,
was
go
even
on,
worth it.
go on Amazon and buy yourself a replacement set.
Right.
But Chris,
Exactly.
I didn't even know what was going on these.
Right. Because these headlights
And I'd been paid to do headlights.
had someone had clear coated them. And
Oh no.
but they actually used a really good quality clear coat. Let me tell you that.
Yes.
But the top surfaces of it, I always use a razor blade to scrape off the dead clear coat. It takes 5 minutes normally to do a headlight. You lightly sand because you're not taking 80 grit to do that. But what they had done is they had literally sanded this with probably 80 grit on one of the lights. And once we broke through that clear coat, the light was scratched like crazy because that clear coat just filled in all the scratches. So we had to sand more. And that clear coat was very hard. Where it had failed on the top of the light, it just scraped off like it was supposed to. Once we got to the section where it hadn't failed, then it became a struggle. And, that is something that I never reached or had never done before. I've never spent more than an hour on a set of
It was
headlights.
wild with this
Yeah.
guy spending 4 hours on
Yeah.
2 headlights.
Well, we had lunch in there. But anyways,
There was a moment where you decided, like, no, we've come this far. Like, we're
and it's a dealership car. We borrow the cars from them to do, and we're not going to return to them in worse shape than we got it. So the headlights are perfect now, by the way, for people that are asking, and it'll be an interesting video. But at the same time, I've been in this 46 years and I ran across something I'd never ran across before. So we're always learning. You always need to improve. You always need to up your skills. And, like Christian, how many odor removals or, interior touch-ups do you do in a week?
I mean, we got to be somewhere around 150.
Yeah. And
A week?
Yeah,
yeah. And you run across situations that you've never run across
all the
before.
time.
Yeah. On
All
a
the time.
maybe not a daily basis, but at
Yeah,
least
but
once a
enough.
week,
Trust
you're
me, it's
running into
enough.
something where you get to learn. And
Yeah.
that is what this is all about. You get to learn. When you run across something you've never done before, you evaluate how or why it's doing this and how can I learn from this situation.
Mark, do you want to share anything there? Because that just made me inspired to just be a cleaner.
Well,
which
it's
is what I
really
love
true,
to do.
though. I mean, honestly, learning is the biggest key. I mean, been doing it a long time. It doesn't mean I've been ever doing it right ever yet. So, I mean, you're out always still trying to experiment and see if you can't get better at it, get quicker at it, see what your equipment's doing, your chemistry. So, yeah, I get these harebrained ideas out in the field sometimes. That's why I still go out cleaning as I do. Otherwise, my other two guys are always going crazy nuts too. But it is true. You got to keep learning and you're going to make mistakes. The thing is, can you think on your feet how to get out of that mistake? Or, like in that case, if we have wax on somebody's tile and grout floor, which you'd never want to do, by the way, but it's the same thing with the headlights. You think it's not there. They tell you you're supposed to go check in a corner or whatever and see it. No, we don't do that. We'll all of a sudden break into it. Then the next thing, I'm getting out some type of floor stripper to try to get off this tile and grout. And it's the worst. It's like a 4-hour job that should have been 20, 30 minutes. So, and you're committed. And then you're the one responsible because you started it, and then
Last one to touch.
You've got it. Exactly. Last one to touch. I've seen people's with rims and stuff on some of the detail forums and stuff. And all of a sudden somebody touched it and somebody had been touching it before and fixed it. And now you just ran into it. And now, it's hard to understand or when it's going to happen. I just got to say it's going to happen. It's how you think on your feet or how you handle the situation as a professional, not just as a cleaner, but as a professional business person. So,
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
I think having an
extractor
extractor for the worst case scenario is a good idea. But I think not leaning on it, not depending on it is also a pretty good idea because I feel like we could all agree on that here.
Yeah, someone that uses an extractor in every car needs to rethink their the way they're doing it. Because not every car needs an extractor.
It's true.
I would say it's far less than what you probably think. I mean, if you have 100 vehicles you're doing, a couple might need an extraction.
At most. And not the whole car.
No, I think in the area where you have the problem at, if your driver's side is really bad, and that's what I mean, just do that. You don't have to do the entire carpet. You don't have to move to the seats. I think, like Mark was saying, I mean, with experience, I'm sure you could speak on this, Mark. I mean, you get into a job, you can look at a carpet and immediately know, like, all right, that's not going nowhere. This is going, this is going, this is going, this is going. I'm going to use this. I'll use this here, spot treat this, spot treat this. All right, run the steamer. We're good. We're out of here. That one stain that you didn't think will come up. Maybe sometimes it lightens up a little more than what you thought, but it's still going to give you experience is going to give you the result.
We rely, first of all, on the pre-spray, on our pre-spray cleaner when we apply it. We don't do any other pre-treating beforehand. Sometimes coffee stains in churches we will, so we don't lose them in the pre-spray, but we'll check them. But we work with the pre-spray to allow the pre-spray without adding any extra chemistry first. We do spot treatment after attempting to first clean. Remove that. If it'll come out, great. You didn't have to use it anymore. The other part is you maybe remove something that they already had in there, so you're not going to put on a chemistry causing another chemistry to go poof, make problems for you. So yes, there's areas, like some of those car seats and things like that. If it doesn't need it, if it's clean appearance is what they want. Make the decision what to use for the clean appearance and give you. If there's an odor issue, you might have to do some extracting to get the odor issue out first. Try to remove the odor source first.
I bit my tongue, sir.
I know. Well,
Christian,
so bad.
Okay, put the gloves on, Christian. Put the gloves on.
Let me just say, first thing is to try to remove the odor source first is what they want to say. Then apply something for it. But I also test. I've got coyote urine out here in my shop. I'm testing odorless odor removers, and didn't think it was possible. It finally got to a point it's possible. I test with the theory of we're not going to get the odor source out what can I do to remove the odor without removing the cause of the source? So I'm going to manipulate what's remaining there. So that's essentially what he's also doing with the, the dioxide tier 2. You're not going to get it all out. You won't get it out of the foam. You're not going to get that out of there. So you need to then go to a different way of eliminating the odor itself, because you can't get rid of all the source. So I guess what I'm trying to say is try to remove the source that you can in somehow, method or other, but be aware you're not going to get it all. You're not going to get it all out. So you got to go be able to ready to do the next thing.
But you want it, like the goal is to try to remove as much of the source as possible.
Yeah, like I had to scrape off with a stick, or what you can see, what's physically possible. You can't see it in that foam in the seat.
Sure, you're not getting behind the back of the AC condenser or back in the box.
Gosh,
like I mean, you just, you can only get to certain areas. And again, I think that's one of the reasons why I think steam is so beneficial, because you do have the ability to kind of point that in some areas that you might not be able to get to with some of the bigger pieces. I mean, even with the extractors and things like that, dude. I mean, they're bulky to move around.
Oh, it's terrible. You guys have a lot more detailed situations like you're describing, getting behind the dash and all that. Let's see, as carpet cleaners and all that, we're only worried about, like I said, when we were doing detailing, we worried about the carpet and the seats. That's all we did. We didn't worry about anything else way back when. So yeah, you've got a whole different avenue you're doing. So what your guys are describing is very truthful, and it needs to follow what you guys are saying there.
Well, I think having a steamer is probably a better option than getting an extractor. If you're a detailer, if you're gonna get one thing that introduces moisture, get a steamer before an extractor. I think and get a compressor before a steamer. Yeah, compressor before steamer, steamer before extractor.
Yeah,
we're at an hour, guys. What do you say, Mark?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What did you say, Mark?
I said get a vacuum. Get a good vacuum.
Yeah, 100%.
Vacuum. Just make your
vacuum change the filter regularly, guys. It's so important. You can't be vacuuming with a dirty filter. You're not getting half of the dirt out when you do that.
And we're talking daily. Take a look at those filters.
100%, dude.
Yeah,
we pop ours open at least a couple times a week.
I'm gonna put a plug in for someone that isn't related to this at all, but Tom at Buff Bright or For Real, or he's got several different companies. He has a filter sock that is incredible. It goes over the filter in most shop vacs, and just the way he's designed it, every time you turn the shop vac off, it cleans the filter.
It's kind of like a better version of a nylon sock.
Yeah, but basically, it uses weights and things like that, and basically it agitates itself, and it doesn't, it might reduce your CFM by 5%. It's not that big of a deal, but it keeps your filter clean. And every time you turn your vacuum off, it cleans.
It drops the filter. It drops the dirt down into. It doesn't stick to the filter. You're saying it drops down into the actual basin.
Yeah, so your filter never gets clogged. So you buy this once, and you'll never change your filter again.
Interesting.
All right, everybody, we did it. Yeah, I don't know if we changed minds, but I hope that we changed hearts in America.
Well, maybe not change minds, but maybe. Get people thinking a little more.
Yeah, I think it could help everybody understand their cleaning a little bit better.
Absolutely. Guys, I had a blast. Thank you for having me on.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you to both of you. Different worlds, but very closely related. Mark is doing flat carpet. We're doing, if it's a flat carpet, we might be doing the trunk.
We're lucky when we get flat carpet.
Yeah, exactly. And upholstery cleaning, same thing. Mark, what percentage of your business is upholstery cleaning versus carpets?
Probably there's a good portion, probably 40%.
Good. Okay.
A lot of jobs. We do quite a bit of upholstery. It's not our favorite.
Okay.
We like the flat earth grounding, going just doing that carpet in and out of there.
Boom. You guys got it good, man. I don't think dog hair, cat hair sticks the same in carpets. I mean, ours is just, we just have to dig and dig and dig at stuff. Yeah.
It's true. It clings on everything, but your type of carpets and the upholstery, it's hard to get off because the hooks, then the dog hair, and we'll run into that too. And we just try to tell them, you're not going to get all that out unless you're going to pay me by the hour to go with the tweezers and do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a detailer, though, you're expected to get in every little.
No, the customer
you have to be.
We're expecting it.
You have to be responsible and tell the customer ahead of time that if you're doing some type of pet hair removal at all, you should be charging for it, guys. I can't stress that enough.
I'm $200 an hour to $250.
Yeah, perfect. And ask the customer, is the dog going back into the car? the dog
Yeah.
is going back into the car. They
You don't
probably
have
don't
to-
care that every last bit of pet hair is gone.
No.
Black spray paint. Black spray paint. Sorry, guys.
And with that,
What about a beige carpet? Are you using the black spray paint
No,
there
no,
too?
I'm using beige and Pescadero sand and all these other colors. But
Okay,
they
yeah.
don't exist as much as they used to, Ivan. Back when I first started, we had gray and tans and all these types of colors. Now it's just black. Everything's flat black.
Yeah.
all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the great debate. Thanks everyone who watched us, and
Yeah.
Thanks to Mark and Christian
Thank
for joining
you.
us.
Absolutely,
On this
guys.
fine
It's been a
Sunday.
blast. If anybody's got a question that I might have missed in the chat or something with BioBombs, feel free to hit us up on info@biobombs.com. I'll be more than happy to take care of you guys.
Excellent. And when is your podcast on the Thor Media Network?
We're going to be on Tuesday night. I believe we have
Oh.
Josh B coming on this week, so everybody stay tuned. It's going to be a wild one.
Big
Good.
guys, big guys. And then Mark, where can they find you if they want to get one of your chemicals? If
Well-
they want to watch you on YouTube, give us your plugs there.
Sagers.com, but it's spelled with Saiger. So Sagers.com or Mark Sager, just my name as it's spelled probably there. You're seeing it. Just go to YouTube there. And when you see some of these disastrous restaurant carpets that are getting flooded, just remember the carpet's only this thick and that's a rubber back, seriously rubber back. And the carpet is the oil and the grease on top is hard as concrete. That's why it's not penetrating in. So don't freak out, but don't do like I do in a car. Okay. When you see those,
All right.
absolutely do not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a
Great
blast,
advice.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks.
Stay fresh,
Bye.
y'all.
Thank you.